disturbance, which may be what we call it as the turbulence, what is created, turbulence on the turbulence scale. So this is what we discussed. Kolmogorov scale was discussed. Then we looked into what exactly happens in a duct, all those things, how the developing, how the velocity profile will change from a simple developing region to a fully developed turbulent flow and all. So today we'll try to look into some correlation functions. If possible, I'll try to derive the Rance equation. If possible, I'll try to complete today or maybe tomorrow. Okay, fine. See, if when you speak of correlation functions, okay, correlation functions, correlation functions. So what is it actually? See, I have a fluctuation of your turbulence, something like this. So if I take it on some kind of a scale, and if I try to have something like maybe around a part of normalize about a thing. So if I call that as 0 and this is 1, and if I try to plot it, actually if I try to plot, so this is what I'm going to get. This is what I'm going to get. Go to the maximum, then it will come to minimum. And what is above this particular point is positive, the positive fluctuations, and below this is your negative fluctuations. Okay, this is the positive fluctuations and negative fluctuations. And if you try to take some velocity component, so if I try to define some u as the velocity component, u as the velocity component, and the fluctuating component. So let me call that as u dash or something. So this is the fluctuating component of velocity. The fluctuating component of the velocity. Fine. Now, if I try to average any kind of disturbances, usually we go with two types. Okay, we try to go with two types. One, it is called as time averaging. Okay, we try to call it as time average. And other one we call it as the what we call it as average in space. Okay, so one is so time average, and some books they call this as a stationary kind of a turbulence. And the space averaging, it's called as homogeneous turbulence. Homogeneous turbulence or space averaging. So we'll try to plot, we'll try to see how this particular fluctuations will be looking at it. That means if I try to have something like this, this is what I have. Okay, this is what I have. If I have a u on y-axis and t on x-axis, and I have my fluctuations something like this. So the fluctuations are like this. So this is the fluctuation, and if I try to average it actually, so the average value will be somewhere the middle value. Okay, and each fluctuation I can call it as some T1 or whatever it may be. Okay, and if I try to look at the bigger fluctuations, that is the average one what we call, so that I can call it as some T2. Okay, any minor fluctuations I call it as a T1, and the whole fluctuation, that is one cycle of fluctuation, I call it as T2. Now, in a similar fashion, if I have another kind of a fluctuations or the velocity, let me have the other kind of the velocity fluctuations. So let it be something like this. Okay, the fluctuation is something like this. So it's coming like this, then it's going up, then it's coming like this. So this is how the fluctuation is. It's coming like this, it's going like this, and it's coming like this. Now if I try to put an average for this, how I can have an average actually? So drawing a line which passes through the average of this particular thing. So it may be some kind of a sinusoidal thing I may be getting it. So now here also I can see each and every small fluctuation. So I can call this as a T1, okay, and a bigger, the maybe the average time between two fluctuations or something like this, from this point to this peak to this peak. So I can call this as T2. So this is how your fluctuations I can write actually. This is how I can represent it on a mathematical format. If I try to put it in a mathematical format, so let me put it on the time average scale. Time average. Okay. So as I told, it's also called as, maybe in my earlier class, this is your some kind of a stationary turbulence kind of. This belongs to that particular category. So time averaging. So what I'm trying to do, so time averaging with respect to some spatial coordinate. So let the initial time be some x naught or something. Okay, at any given point, u star or ut or whatever it may be, I can give that. I can give at any given point. Okay, u at any given point, u of x naught. Okay, so I need to obtain the expression for it. So it is from some time point to some time point. Okay, some time point to some time point. So it is from minus t to some capital T. So this is of u of x naught at t into dt. So this is how the my equation will look like. But what is the thing I need to look at actually? I need to look at the average of this particular thing. So all my factors, so this will be 1 upon 2t1, okay, as my limit t1 tends to infinity. So this is how your equation will looks like for a time averaging scale. So the same equation I can go for space average. The same similar kind of an equation I can go for space averaging. Only thing is, if I replace the T1 by some other quantity, X or S or whatever it may be. If I try to do that, then your equation will change from time average to space average. So let me write that equation for the space average also. Space average, and maybe it belongs to the category of homogeneous turbulence. Homogeneous turbulence. Okay. So here I can go with, see, this is with respect to time. Let me differentiate it, ut. So this may be with respect to some space. So let me call it some s or something. So this is with respect to, that was with respect to x. Here it's with respect to time actually. So that was at a given time point, x is equal to x naught. Here at a, the time point t is equal to t naught. Okay. So here I can go with the limit. So instead of wherever I have the t1, I will replace with some other quantity x or something. So this is from minus x to plus x, u of x into t naught into dt, where your x tending to infinity. So this is how you can write this simpler equations. You can write the equations for your time averaging as well as the time averaging as well as the space averaging of your fluctuating components. Okay. Once you have written this, so if you come back to your continuity equation, three-dimensional continuity equation. So there you have the fluctuating component. What is it actually, your U or whatever it may be. So I do have an averaged one and I have a fluctuating one. So I can write the average component and the fluctuating component separately and try to obtain what is called as some kind of an averaging equations, average equations. Now, why this is important actually? Say for example, you people are doing some kind of an experiments in the lab itself. Okay, you are trying to simulate something under some conditions. Say you want to measure the velocity, or you want to measure the pressure, or you want to measure some kind of a temperature at different points actually. Okay, let me put a probe or something like that. Okay, let me have something like you are conducting some experiments. You are conducting some experiments, and I have a probe like this. So this is a probe or some kind of a pipe or something. I have a pipe. Okay, in this actually you are supposed to measure some fluid properties at different points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me call it some 5 points. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have some 5 different points. So all are I want to obtain under see similar conditions. So these are condition I am going to put. I want it to be all are under similar conditions, and I want to measure the fixed properties. Fixed properties and all are measured at the similar conditions. So I am going to do an experiment for a first set of data. Let it be something like this. So first set is I'm going to do the experiment on a particular day. Okay, then I will do it for some 20 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to find all the values at 1. I taken a point 1. Now next day I will come. So next day means what is it actually? Is it possible for me to get the similar condition? I need to verify that. So whether my ambient conditions, yesterday it was some 28 degrees. So will I wait for the temperature to reach 28 degrees, or so next day morning when I come and try to do the experiment, if the ambient temperature is 32 degrees, but still we continue the experiment. So this kind of variations or fluctuations we should be able to take care. Okay, if you want to wait for 28 degrees to occur, 28 degrees to reach, then you have to start the experiment. Okay, now the second day, say for example, second day I will come. So this is date 1, this is some date 2. So I will do the experiment for some 30 minutes. And I will try to measure all the values at some other point 2. Okay, so what is it actually? We are trying to do the different kind of an experiments in our lab, thinking that every day we do the experiments, we'll end up with a similar kind of values, similar values we'll get it. Why the values are going to change? The reason is you can't obtain the same conditions every day at any given time, or given maybe a given time also. Maybe you want to do, so maybe some days you maybe do experiment for 3 minutes, and some other day for taking the same reading you may do it for around 5 minutes. So all of you might have faced this experiment, this kind of problem in heat transfer lab. Say whether I'm trying to do the forced convection or a free convection, or trying to measure the thermal conductivity of the metal drawn or not. So what we try to do, we'll switch on that particular heater and leave it for to reach the steady state condition. So we don't know whether the steady state is reached or not. So sometimes it will reach in 10 minutes, sometimes it will maybe will depend on, maybe most of the students, they depend on the non-teaching staff so much that the moment a non-teaching staff come and tell that yes, the steady state condition is it, you go and do the experiment simply without thinking. The students will just simply go and take down the readings and come. So this kind of errors can be minimized if we are able to do this repeatabilities, this kind of a repeatabilities. What is it actually? So I told that, see, this is the thing. Maybe I just have taken example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different points. And I'm trying to measure the properties for different days, for different times, and trying to check it actually. So what is the best possible way of trying to minimize this particular errors in your experimentation, or trying to reduce your fluctuations and all? So what we have to do, we have to share this data. So day one, I did the experiment for 20 minutes, so I calculate all the values. So the same day, I'll do the experiment at two different values. So 1, 2, 3, 4 different, all the values at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I will take it. Then day two also I will do the same thing. I will repeat it. 1, then at 3, at 5, whatever it may be. Then I will try to verify these values. What was the values yesterday for that particular condition, and what is the value for today for today's condition? So the condition, maybe if it is very close, then your values also will be close. Otherwise, simply you can look at these fluctuations and you can verify it. I'm just trying to give an example. So in the similar fashion, so whenever I have a turbulent flow, so I'll be having what is called as a component which is almost remains constant throughout the that particular, whenever I'm trying to measure it, and I have a component which will be fluctuating about that mean value. So I should able to differentiate between these two components. So I think nowadays I think we all taking the help of the DAX systems and all, where we are trying to build in autocorrelation features. So autocorrelation features is such a way that where the fluctuation components, where the fluctuating components is very minimal, automatically those are nullified. So those are nullified, and we'll be able to only pick up the values where a certain amount of response is there. And we'll try to correlate, and we'll try to take the data and we'll try to process it. So instead of processing thousands of data, we may process with around maybe few hundreds of data. That's how you can normalize it. So correlation means I'm going to look at the properties, and when you come up with some kind of a correlation coefficient or statistical average, or use the statistics principles and all, we are trying to normalize these values, normalize the values, and try to get the fluctuating components as much as possible, minimize that particular thing, and try to get the average value. So that's why when we try to, even in CFD boundary conditions also, we try to put it. So when we try to put the average velocity at the inlet, actually if you try to input the fluctuating component and the average component, your results will vary. But when I try to put a profile which is uniform profile, then I can expect my results to converge at a faster manner. Or you can expect that the results can be converging at a faster manner, or number of iterations also may come down. If you give a spurious data, you will end up with a spurious output. So that's why you have to be very careful with what type of data you are trying to process in the turbulence. Okay. Now, if I try to write the equation, your continuity equation or whatever it may be. So if I try to write the equation for it, so what is it actually? It is dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou y plus dou w by dou z is equal to 0. Okay. Now, if I try to, at any given point, if I try to write the velocity component, fluctuating component, so it is in y direction, whatever it may be, u of y comma t is equal to, there is an average of it. Okay, this is an average. This is the average plus the fluctuating component. See, the fluctuating component, it is with respect to some other variable, that is tau or zeta or whatever it may be, some kind of a variable I am trying to take it. Okay. Now, if you go back and write to expression for this particular thing, your U is varying. U is no more a single average component. I do have both average component and fluctuating component. So what will be the equation for your continuity equation for your or maybe fluctuating with fluctuating component? So the equation will change something like this. This will be dou u bar by dou x plus dou u dash by dou x. Okay, this is for the u component. So anyhow, I am not looking at any fluctuating component in y direction. I'll write it as it is. So just I am trying to teach you how to write the fluctuating components of turbulence in your equation. So you have the average component, you have the fluctuating component. Suppose if the fluctuating component is 0, then it clearly shows that it is a laminar kind of a flow. If it is not 0, okay, if it is not 0, what do you mean by it? See, if dou u dash by dou x, if this is not 0, see, then the components of y and z of the velocity do exist. Components of velocity, you see, even though I don't have any your w by dou y, dou w by dou z, but I do have the component of velocities do exist. What is the meaning of it actually? Let me write that. So your y and z components exists. What is it actually? That means if I tell v is equal to, I don't have any average component there, but I may be having a fluctuating component with some in the direction tau and y, or your w is equal to 0, your w dash. So I need to consider these two components other than your x fluctuating component. Okay, other than your u component, I need to consider the v dash component and w dash component also has to be considered, until and unless it's clearly those components are very negligible. So then the turbulence, it's not only in one direction, the turbulent components do exist in three directions. So that's why your turbulence values always they are in three-dimensional directions or three dimensions. Okay, they are in three dimensions. So what is it actually? So when I speak of correlations and all, so what will happen? Your correlation means your properties or fluid properties, what I'm trying to measure. So when I speak of correlation, when I speak of correlation of any velocity components means what exactly I'm trying to spell? It is nothing but your fluid properties measurement. Fluid properties measurement. When I speak of correlation coefficient, so when I speak of any kind of a coefficient in statistics means I am trying to normalize it. So when I speak of correlation coefficient means I am trying to normalize the values. See, all these things come under statistics. All these things come under statistics. So whenever people speak of, see, why this particular turbulence means, why we depend more on statistics means because large data has to be captured. If I want to deal with a turbulence, large data has to be captured and this data has to be processed. So that's why even when I go for an experimentation or if I go for a computational studies, so turbulence studies is always a difficult thing. In what scale you are trying to take? So whether you are going to take with the anyhow, Reynolds number is 1 per anyhow. We know that any scale you take, actually, it's all related to your turbulence or your Reynolds scale. And this Reynolds scale is related to your Kolmogorov scale. So with what smallest of the fluctuation scale I'm going to consider. So from that consideration, I have to take up all the data or process all the data, then try to normalize it and try to use it. So this is the best possible way of dealing with your turbulence. Okay, dealing with your turbulence. So sometimes they call it as, see, whatever I showed, no, this particular thing, they are all called as integral time scale, because I'm trying to integrate from the lower limit to upper limit. So this can be from minus x to x on the space average, or minus t to t on the time average, or if you want to go from 0 to infinity also, it doesn't matter. So whatever may be, it all depends on how we are going to convert it actually. So we are converting one particular thing to other format actually. So scale conversion if we try to do, and integration. So most of the your turbulence is averaging, means it is your integration. How you are going to integrate the properties or integrate that particular property, whether u component of velocity or a pressure component or v component or a w component, whatever may be of that particular velocity, integrate it with respect to what, on a time scale or on the your length scale or space scale. Okay, if you're able to do that,
Sir,
whatever the value you're
hello,
getting, that is
sir.
called a, yeah, tell me.
Sir, for space average, we have to differentiate with the dx, no, sir, with the space only.
Oh, sorry, I think it was a type right to yes, 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 it should be dx. It should be dx, yes, yes, yes. It should be dx. Yes, yes, you are right. I think while writing I made a mistake. It should be with respect to dx. This is with respect to dx, so that is with respect to dt. Yeah. Yes, you are right. You are right. You are right. So dx for the space average and dt with respect to time average. So this is nothing but how your turbulence experimentation or how you are going to process the data. This is how you are going to do it. Actually, is that clear? So see, maybe you people are trying to do some experimentation in the lab and all, even though you people are not dealing with the turbulent flows. So most of the things what we come across is the laminar kind of a thing. We try to ensure that Reynolds number is less than your critical value and try to do the experiment. The moment you step into this turbulence zone, then whatever the probe you are using, that is just not sufficient to measure any of the turbulent quantities. Okay, whatever the probe you are using, you are trying to measure at a one particular point, maybe stagnation or a static, whatever it may be, you are trying to measure. So that may be measuring only for a laminar condition. So the moment it is a turbulent thing, it becomes three-dimensional. So what if we have something called as a 5-volt probe or a 7-volt probe or a 9-volt probe? Okay, what is it actually? Maybe if you want, you can just Google it out and check it actually. So these probes are three-dimensional in nature. Okay, and the similar way, say I think you made out, you try to put the what is called as a calibration chart on the a graph actually. So in the similar fashion, what you are doing for a laminar flow, I can do it for a turbulent flow. So, but it's very complex. I will get maybe something like Cp versus what you are going to pressure coefficient, the graphs you are trying to put, no, for your maybe some kind of a cambered profile, aerofoil, or a symmetrical aerofoil, and trying to get it. The similar fashion, I can use the 5-volt probe or a 7-volt probe or a 9-volt probe, which will measure the components of velocity by in all the in that particular all the direction x, y, z, in three directions. So it can be not only x, y, z in between that particular point also. So x, y in between I can have at a particular point. So you have, it all depends on what is the application. And building such 5-volt probe, 7-volt probe is not an easy task. So it has to be built to the precision. It has to be built to the precision, and where you are trying to check actually, it has to be checked, maybe calibrated in the tunnel, maybe any of the wind tunnel or whatever it will be. And once you are calibrating that particular thing, there is a range of flow of velocities. which is beyond your laminar flow. All are in the turbulent region only. In your laminar, anyhow, you have a single wall probe will work, but for the higher turbulence or for higher velocities, these probes are completely used, and all the data has to be processed to a separate DAC system, and you should able to measure the values. So that's how your experimentation will work for your turbulent flows, and how you're going to use your equation, whether it's a time averaged or on the space average. Is that clear? Maybe given you enough information how this particular thing will work, maybe you can refer to any of the turbulent flow textbooks for more understanding. Okay, now it's 10:29. So you have any class at 11:15? Hello, Santrop?
Sir, we still don't know. Mathematics is at actually 12:10.
Oh, mathematics is still 10. Then I'll try to derive the Rans equation. Okay,
Oh,
Rans equation and leave it. Okay, Reynolds average Navier-Stokes equation, which is very much used in your most of your turbulence models in your computational fluid dynamics. No? So you have CFD models, we speak of all those things and all. But Rans model was something like what the first beginning model everyone will try. Then they move to either K epsilon or K omega or SST or all the models and all. Okay, so Reynolds average Navier-Stokes equation. Reynolds average Navier-Stokes equation. Navier-Stokes equation is also called as Rans. Okay, fine. So let us try to write the regular equation for your momentum equation. What is it actually? So x momentum or y momentum, whatever it may be. If you try to write it, and then we'll try to write it for your fluctuating component and all those things. Then we'll try to simplify this particular thing. Okay. So what is the equation what we have? So if I write it for a x component, so it will be rho into dou u by dou t plus dou square u by dou x square plus dou u y by dou y plus dou u w by dou z is equal to minus dou p by dou x. Okay, anyhow, rho gx, anyhow, your g component is there, just simply it goes off actually, plus mu into dou square u by dou x square plus dou square u by dou y square plus dou square u by dou z square. So let me call this as equation number 1, or if you want the same thing, this particular, I can write it in your vector form also. I can write the same thing as, see, I can write it in this particular form. In your vector form, if you want, you can represent it. Okay, if you want, in a few books they go in the vector form. Even the left side equation also in the vector form also they'll try to represent it. Or you can write it in that particular form, or you can write in the regular form. Doesn't matter. Okay. Then for the y component, I can write it as rho into dou v by dou t, dou square v by dou x square, dou into dou u by dou u v by dou x, then dou v square by dou y plus dou into vw by dou z is equal to minus dou p by dou y plus mu into dou square v by dou x square plus dou square v by dou y square plus dou square v by dou z square. Similarly, for the z component, I can write it as rho into dou w by dou t plus dou u w by dou x plus dou v w by dou y plus dou w square by dou z is equal to minus dou p by dou z plus mu into dou square w by dou x square plus dou square w by dou y square plus dou square w by dou z square. So I got the, so if we call this as equation number 1, this as 2, this as 3. So I have written the components of this particular equation. Now, for a turbulent flow, what is it actually? For a turbulent flow, your components of velocities are something like this. For a turbulent flow, for a turbulent flow, your components are something like this. Your u is equal to u average plus fluctuating component. Okay, v is equal to v average plus fluctuating component. Your w is equal to w average plus fluctuating component. So I do have the components of this particular thing in all the directions. And one more thing is actually what we are considered is your rho is almost constant, it's not changing that much. So rho is assumed to be constant because, so rho is constant means it means that it's a Navier-Stokes equation, it's an incompressible flow. Okay. Now if we try to write the continuity equation for it. So what is the continuity equation? Already we have written dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou y plus dou w by dou z. Okay. So the continuity equation is, the continuity equation is dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou y plus dou w by dou z is equal to 0. So if I call that as equation number, so all these are equation 4 and this I will call it as equation number 5. Now let me substitute for u, v and w from equation 4 in 5. So what will happen? This will become, this will be u bar plus u dash by dou x plus dou into v bar plus v dash by dou y plus dou into w bar plus w dash by wz is equal to 0. Or if you want, you can write all the average quantities one side and fluctuating component to the other side of it, I can write it. Okay, so now this is how you can write it. So if I try to write it, so this will be dou u bar by dou x plus dou v bar by dou y plus dou w bar by dou z. Okay, then all the fluctuating components, this is dou u dash actually. Now when I try to put a bar actually, so those fluctuating components also I need to average it. Okay, this is dou v dash by dou y plus dou w dash by dou z is equal to 0. So let me call this as equation number 6. Okay, now see all the fluctuations of the time averaging or should be equal to 0. All the fluctuating seat, all the time averaging as per the your Rans equation or your Reynolds time averaging equation, the time averaging of all the fluctuations are equal to 0. What do you mean by it actually? U bar dash, V bar dash or W bar dash, or if there is a pressure component P dash, P bar dash, whatever it may be, they are all equal to 0. That's the meaning of it. That means this component to the right hand side, they will become 0. So that I'll be only left with the left hand side component. If I try to time average the right hand side component, each component will become 0. So let me write. This is as per their, if you want to obtain their RANS equation, you are trying to simplify and trying to get an equation. That's it. Okay. So the time averaging of all the fluctuating components of all the fluctuations are equal to 0. So what is it actually? That is u dash bar is equal to 0, v dash bar is equal to 0, w dash bar is equal to 0. If there is a pressure, that is also 0. Okay, anything is there, that's equal to 0. So your equation, I can write it as, so what I mean by it actually, if this is the condition, then all your, so w bar by dou x, okay, and 0, your w bar by dou y is equal to 0, your dou w bar by dou z is equal to 0. Then if you try to add it everything, so it is 0 plus 0 plus 0. So therefore, your equation 6 becomes, okay, your equation 6 will become is w bar by dou x plus dou v bar by dou y plus dou w bar by dou z is equal to 0. Okay, this is the, it satisfies the continuity equation for all the average
Sir,
values.
uh,
Yeah.
could you explain the last step before that 6 becomes step? We
Okay.
have
See,
used both bar and dash in that
yeah.
equation.
See, now what we are trying to do, no, we are trying to see you have the fluctuating component u dash, v dash, and w dash. I need to time average it. So that's why if you go back and see here, see, whenever I try to time average it, I will try to average between my two fluctuating components. I'm trying to integrate it. Okay, you have the fluctuating component. So you have the fluctuating component u bar, or sorry, u dash, v dash, and w dash. So when you try to average it, time average it, so that has to be nullified. It has to become 0. That's what I'm going by the same rule what I am trying to apply. You are taking u dash, v dash, and w dash. So if I try to time average this particular thing, average it, then this becomes 0. This is on the space coordinate at any given point. This is not the same if I go with the space averaging. It may vary. So this is with respect to time averaging. So this is the condition. So why we are trying to simplify the equation, just like you have a Navier-Stokes equation, simplify and get a solution. Here, all the time average values, fluctuating components are, they are almost nullified. So that I may end up with an equation which is very similar to your continuity equation. That's it. So this is called as average continuity equation. For this is called as an average continuity equation for your turbulent flow. Otherwise, this would have been dou u by dou x plus dou v by dou y, dou w by dou z. So that is the regular equation for your any kind of flow. So now here I am trying to tell that dou u bar, dou v bar, and dou w bar, where u bar, v bar, and w bar are the average values. I am trying to get the average values. So you are getting an averaged continuity equations. That's it. Just to get this particular form so that the fluctuating components are nullified. That's it.
Sir, why do we take it as 0?
Which one? It is not taking at 0. So we want to nullify that. See, even when we tell that it is 0 means if you just go on, if you go on, look at this particular thing. See, I do have this is your average. Okay, and these are your fluctuations. These are your fluctuations. So these fluctuations I'm trying to, so that see, when I try to maybe consider what is happening, what type of the fluid property I'm trying to measure. So the average value is just sufficient to get the value rather than your fluctuating components. If I go with the time average for your continuity, in the continuity equation, and the spatial coordinates, that's it.
Oh, okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
That's the other thing. Just to simplify it. Just to
Okay, sir.
simplify and obtain the expressions.
So that's why we are not considering fluctuation part here, right, sir?
Yes. See, as much as possible, what is the purpose of this Rans equation, all those things and all? We want to see if, say, for example, if there is a component, u dash is there, so it is dou square u dash by dou x square is there. So what is it actually? Already it's a fluctuating component. So maybe square of that particular fluctuating component will become smaller. So I can neglect it, just like square of 0.1. 0.1 into 0.1, it's 0.001. So in the similar fashion, so here also what we are trying to go with the time average, so that values are nullified with respect to the flow component. That's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, so Rans equation, yeah, to obtain the Rans equation, I may need another half an hour or so. Fine, we'll stop here. Anyhow, tomorrow, we are meeting now. I'll try to derive that Rans equation. We'll stop here. So already it is 10:45.